have the privilege of speaking with Hayley today, K5HMV from FlexRadio. Hayley is the Director of Software Engineering. And Hayley, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at Flex?
Yeah, so I've been at Flex for about 6 years. I started, just regular on the software engineering team. A fun fact about Flex is majority of our software engineers are all also electrical engineers because, what we do is so close to the hardware. So I came into Flex thinking I was going to be a hardware engineer. And there was some talent seen in the software realm. So I was guided lightly into the software portion of it. And I have been kind of involved with the amateur market, some of our government programs, all the way to, kind of building a team out in recent years. So sort of how I got in here and how I got into software was just, liking the radio aspect of things, the tinkering aspect, and then finding Flex Radio because we do a lot of work with the colleges nearby in Texas and everything.
Awesome. Okay. I understand you just recently upgraded to Extra as well.
I did. Yes. We have, there's some slight pressure in our company to go all the way for sure. So I needed to beat out my boss. I need to get my Extra before he did.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good thing. Okay. Okay. And I was told by someone in your company to ask how you got in the hobby.
Yeah, so working for Flex Radio, you're around it all the time. But I did not discover how fun it was until we were at Dayton this past year. And we had a setup, an FT8 setup. And I was, walked through how to do it. And I was lucky enough to be walked through by Gerald, who has a very lovely call sign that everybody wants to respond to. So we were able to, get a lot of action making contacts in FT8 at Dayton, and that was very fun.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, why don't we get into the Flex system? And I have a Flex 8600 over my shoulder here, and 8600M, and I can display the screen when we get there, and we can just kind of talk about that. So let's start by talking about SmartSDR.
Yeah. So this year we've launched a new kind of licensing scheme. This is multifaceted. Part of it is that in the back end, so the things users don't really see, we have a lot more granularity and control software-wise. So we basically re-architected how we did our licensing. And that enabled us to do cool things like a SmartSDR Plus or a SmartSDR Early Access. It also enabled us to get kind of everybody on the same version. So we're not trying, so everybody gets bug fixes because, those happen. And so that was kind of the big push for it. We have 2 tiers that are kind of fun. So the SmartSDR Plus tier has the extra bells and whistles, the things that we're kind of like, hey, this is cool, we could do this. And it's kind of additional. You don't need it to operate the radio, but it's there. And then we have a SmartSDR Plus Early Access, which is very exciting, I think, personally, for the engineering team, because we're gathering a group of people that can give us feedback very directly, also test things out. We sort of did this with like our APD beta version, where we kind of put that out and we're like, okay, where is it failing algorithmically? And so the plan is to kind of test that out, as well as get a lot of feedback and a lot of suggestions. We have a lot of capacity on the software team right now for adding features and fixing things, and we're putting focus there. And that basically this early access section of people or group of people are there to help give us suggestions of like, this would be really cool, or, you could do something like this, or I liked this on some other radio. And that's really fun for us because not all of us are ham operators. And so it's fun to know how people want to use the radio and what we can do to make it more useful.
Okay, awesome. So so by subscribing, as I understand it, if somebody buys it, it's theirs forever, whether they stay subscribed or not. Is that right?
Correct. Yep. So you'll get whatever you get with your year. You'll have it forever. It'll never leave you, even if you decide to not, buy the upgrade again.
Okay. And even a basic user who doesn't subscribe still gets the performance fixes, bug fixes, and things
Oh
like
yeah.
that ongoing.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. And so let's talk about kind of the back end. What kind of drove the push to get to to version 4 of the software?
Yeah, so the 8000 series was a hardware revamp and push into modern hardware. And that was kind of the necessary stepping stone. The 6K series is wonderful. It's great. It's just, those devices are, 10 plus years old now, and the market has moved. All those micros have moved to a much faster, quicker, more capacity. So the 8000 series was a refresh hardware wise. And so what you guys are now seeing is the software refresh that goes with that hardware refresh, right? So we used, old licensing architecture techniques that there's now newer and better and greater things. And you'll see that with this kind of licensing stuff. You'll see maybe some of it with like your storage things. You'll see some of it with even like your installers, right? There's 32-bit, 64-bit, all that kind of, computer things. So we are, over the next couple of years, I think you're going to see that big shift towards modernizing all of our software and refreshing it in a way where we're using the new tools and we are taking advantage of all of that.
Okay, so let's talk about what's new in version 4. And I know that you just had a new release of I think it's 4.1.3, is that right?
Yeah.
And so we went from 4.0.1 to 4.1.3. And so why don't we kind of get into that? And I'll bring up my screen here.
Yeah. So if you go to the digital voice keyer, it's in the bottom left. This is our new digital voice keyer. The name kind of makes itself. And we have 12 pre-recorded slots for audio that you want to transmit out. So, in contests, you can quickly have that available. You can, loop it, all that kind of stuff. You can either play them by clicking on it and clicking play, which will then transmit that out, or you can hook this up to your F keys and have keyboard shortcuts there. This was highly requested. So I believe when I started here 6 years ago, this was top of the list of things that we should be doing. And so it was very exciting to implement this. And this is the first iteration, obviously. So things will get fixed, bugs will be fixed, things will be added to make this a more easy experience.
Okay. All right. And where do we go from here?
Yeah. So then after the digital voice keyer, we have some new noise algorithms. I think this is the big talk here, which you already have pulled up. We've done a mixture of things. So we have improved current algorithms as well. So that's for people who do not want to, update their license. But we've also added a bunch of new noise algorithms, and you have an 8000 series, so you get a couple more. But anything we could put on the 6000s, we did. And so our regular noise reduction, we basically deep dove into that algorithm and said, what could we fix? What could we tweak? Kind of took our DSP chops from some of our APD knowledge and, implemented that here. The noise blanker is exactly the same. I believe we have some optimization there, but I don't think you would notice the difference. The automatic notch filter is also exactly the same. So this is your noise reduction, basically I don't know what year, but there used to be a noise reduction algorithm in legacy SmartSDR systems that used a least mean square algorithm. And we revamped that at some point because it wasn't working quite right and we didn't figure it out. So we changed algorithm types. But since we are, brushing up on our DSP chops, we decided to bring this one back from the dead, basically. It was commented out in code. We brought it back, understood it, and gave it to the user. The plan here is, there will be a noise algorithm that works for you. Maybe not all of them work for every scenario, but the hope is that you'll find one that cancels out the noise that you're experiencing in your antenna setup. And so this one was kind of brought back from the early days.
Okay, and then NRS.
Yeah, so this is a spectral subtraction algorithm. The basic premise there is that it takes two different spectrum readings and subtracts them, sets them on top of each other, subtracts them out, and that will cancel out a lot of your like white noise type of things, uncorrelated noise. It's a common algorithm used, a newer one, so hence kind of us wanting to go into the modern era of software. Kind of our take on a spectral subtraction algorithm. Yeah, so this one is really fun. This is a AI noise reduction algorithm. So the model that's used was previously trained on voice. So right now it is a voice kind of cancellation. It'll take a voice and kind of focus on that and cancel out the noise around it. But the fun part here is that we have the capacity to train this model ourselves with different recordings and different scenarios that you see, in your regular operation. And then this will only improve over time as we train it on data that's accurate to our users' operation.
Okay, and I understand that you may be pulling user data to, if they supply it to you, to be able to train this AI. Is that right?
Yeah. So to be clear, we have no capability to like pull it without anybody's knowledge. If you sign up for the early access, we have asked the question if you would be willing to provide recordings. And so the plan there is that those who are willing to provide recordings would be able to provide that to us, and we could train the model off of that in a future release.
Okay. All right. And then NRF.
Yep. So this is basically the same noise reduction as NR, but we use a filtering technique that allows us to dynamically adjust the bin sizes and things that go into the algorithm that then filter it down. So it's kind of like another take on our original NR algorithm.
Okay. All right. And then ANFL.
Yes. So this is the same as NRL. So this is the LMS algorithm. It's a legacy one that we kind of brought back. So that way, people get both options.
Okay. And ANFT.
Yeah, so this one's fun because we're taking the actual FFT that the radio's seeing and using that to apply an ANF filter. This is kind of the child of some of the other features you'll see here. We'll go to that one next, of the noise floor display. But being able to look at an FFT and see where the strong signals are is kind of how this algorithm works. We also did, there has been a, we used to have these algorithms and then sliders where you would adjust a level, which that level did feed into the algorithm. The way these algorithms are implemented now, we have a lot more knobs to turn. And there is plans in future releases to be able to expose those knobs to users that want them. And that way, whether you're a user that, if I just press NR, my noise is canceled and I'm good, you don't have a clouded UI here. But if you're a user that's like, I have this really complicated noise, or this doesn't work for me in all cases, you will be able to dynamically adjust more than just, some portions of an algorithm to then make it work for your situation.
Okay. All right. Okay. Where next?
So let's go to display on the left. This is taking the FFT from the radio and identifying where the noise floor is laying. So that way a user can put the noise floor at whatever level on the screen you want. So obviously it doesn't affect the actual signal level, but it'll make it so when you switch bands, your noise floor isn't jumping up and down and you constantly have to readjust. So right now you have this on. So that means if you were to switch bands, your noise floor would stay, at that screen level in the eye, even if on a different band, you have a different floor level. Then we have a diversity enhanced signal clarity. So if you click DIV, which is diversity, what this does is opens two what we call slice receivers, and they are on separate receive antennas. The goal with the enhanced signal clarity and diversity is to help users null out or amplify certain signals with their secondary antenna. To turn it on, you just click the ESC button there, and then you can adjust phase and gain. With the sliders, I believe you can also click in the circle. Yeah. And then we have a 180 flip there. The way this diversity ESC works is we take the signal coming in from what we call the child slice. So this is your slice D in your case. And we will control its phase and gain, apply basically the phase and gain adjustment that you have set up here, and then route that through your parent slice, which is your slice A. So you have two slices open, but you're really only looking at and hearing the audio from the first slice. And that allows you to utilize, what you're receiving on antenna 2 to null out or amplify signals on antenna 1. This was a feature that was in our Power SDR. It was slightly different there, but we'd never implemented it in our new SmartSDR. So this is kind of taking the code from there and making it fit in our current system.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, what next?
And then the last thing we have, if you go to CW mode, perfect. We have an autotune option. So on your right side panel, you'll see autotune button. This is kind of bringing back, how I mentioned earlier, we have FFT detection, which basically any signal in the FFT, we're able to see it, similar to how you're looking at this panel right now. And you can see, there's a very tall signal at like a little under 14.08. We can do this in software by looking at the FFT, and that's kind of allowed us to do noise algorithms, the floor detection, and then this really cool thing of CW autotune, where it'll lock on to the strongest signal in the FFT. We do filter it, so you're not going to just crazy jump hundreds of kilohertz or anything like that. But there's two options here. There's a one shot. So if you click the button in one shot, you'll auto tune to the highest signal that it sees. And then there's an intermittent where every 3 seconds, it'll auto tune to the highest signal. For this one, we weren't quite sure if, intermittent would be useful. So that's kind of part of the feedback there of like, oh yeah, this is useful in this scenario and all of that kind of stuff. But the goal is to give the user lots of options. So any operating condition you're in, you're able to, make it work for you.
Okay, so let's talk about what you have going on for future plans.
Yeah, so this one's fun. I'm probably going to get in trouble at some point during that conversation. So I'm sorry to Mike and Andy already. So future plans, we are, planning on keeping rolling out new features. So that way, with your subscription, your upgraded license, you'll be able to see new things coming, as well as improve on the ones that we already have. You'll see, like we talked about earlier, we are moving towards a more modern tooling for our software. So you'll see things get fixed. Right now, our big focus is redoing our DACs. I know people have had, BSODs with it and things like that. So we're kind of modernizing that. And that's the big push right now. So you'll see that hopefully very soon. And so we have a lot of cleanup there that we're doing. So everybody will see that, as well as utilizing some of our DSP chops and new knowledge to implement some cool features for sure. At Flex, we've always had kind of the mindset of the amateur market is our playground, in the sense of people like to tinker. We want to give everybody opportunities. We want to do cool things. You'll see that with like the Aurora product, where we really want to push the edge and push the boundaries. And we have built and grown the software team in recent years to have the capacity to start playing again in this field, and this new licensing model really just enables us to play and justify it, because now people need these features. So it's kind of a double-edged sword.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
really awesome. I'm excited to keep learning this Flex, and I've had it for a couple of weeks. There's a learning curve, but there's a learning curve with every radio. And
Yeah.
it's been a lot of fun to play with so far, and I'm looking forward to spending more time with it. Hayley, thanks so much for coming on today, and we really
Yes,
appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.